All right, so we're back out here again. And what we're going to do this morning is we got to make us a plate to go in the bottom of the hood because it's going to have so much weight on it by the time it's finished. I get done with it and it's going to be mounted from the bottom that I got to have something up under there thick enough that's going to be able to support the whole weight of the box. So we got some old scrap 1/4-inch steel plate here, and this is some stuff I had left off another project. We don't have a piece big enough to do it in one piece, so we're going to have to cut and weld 2 different pieces together to be able to do it, what I got out here. So we're going to go ahead and start cutting it, and we'll come back. All right, you cut it on. This here, but I probably should have went and bought me one. What it is. I noticed it the other day when I was using it. When I first started cutting, it was just jumping all around everywhere. Couldn't keep it straight. Don't matter what you did, you couldn't keep it straight. But it's only the 4-inch ones. It ain't the 6-inch ones. Yeah. Sorry. One more cut. That's a lot of cutting with a little end grinder and the wheel, the 1/4-inch like that. But you'll end up cutting all together probably 2, 4, 6 linear foot, and that's a pretty good bit of cutting on with a little grinder and the cutoff wheel. All right, that's all for the cut. I'm gonna clean the edges up, and then we're gonna see if it'll fit. Go ahead and take some 60 grit sandpaper, and this piece of plate's been laying around for a good while, and it's got wet, it's got surface rust on it. I'm gonna just go ahead and take some of this surface rust off of it before I mount it up under the bottom. That'll save me from having to try to get up under it and aggravate with it. I'm gonna go ahead and take some of it off while it's flat. got that situated. Now let's see if we can get it to fit where we want it to fit at. This hood is kind of contoured at it's tapered bend. Well, there went that. Being that it's tapered, I had to take some measurements off of the marks that we squared up a long time ago. Did it break? We squared up some marks a long time ago, and that can't break. Oh. Didn't it? Yeah, you looked up. You looked up, dear. I thought we had broke the little microphone, but it hit it just right. It just popped it off. But anyway, I had to take some measurements off of the square marks that we made when we first started laying this table out. When I explained how when you're building something, you got to have some type of reference point with some way to take measurements. If you need to take measurements, you need to be able to have a point that you can square off of, and it come back where we needed that square point to take these measurements on a tapered angle to be able to get a fit here. So my piece needs to slide forward just a little bit, but that rebar is holding it from where it needs to go. I need to cut it loose for temporary. We'll bend it out. I can bend it out. No. Yeah. Need to cut it. And cut it. Just cut it right there. Bend it down. I'm gonna cut it anyway. Just weld it to the table. Cut it there. Still can't jump right yet. And then when I get that welded, I can cut it loose all the way. So I'm gonna cut that rebar off the front that I got hold my plate there, my front of my corner, so maybe it won't jump, get out of whack. Depends on when you weld stuff up like that, that heat pulls, and if you got a brace on it, sometimes when you cut that brace loose, that stuff will have tension on it, and it'll jump. I remember one time I had bought a truck that had a headache rack on it. The truck come from somewhere where it was, rust and stuff at, and the headache rack had probably been on the truck for 20 years or more, and it had 1-inch U-bolts in the headache rack, and where they weren't even really U-bolts, they were some kind of threaded rod, 1-inch threaded rod. It was bolted from the bottom, bolted from the top, and had a piece of steel on it, about probably 3/4 that went across the frame of the truck and the head rail. So I had a big impact gun, 1-inch impact gun on them, trying to get them loose. I heated them up, trying to get them loose. I mean, I couldn't get them things to budge at all. And I said, well, I'm just going to cut them off. I don't need the bolts anymore. I'll do something different. So I got the torch out, got beside of it, started cutting that bolt. And when that thing it didn't even get all the way cut in half. It still probably had a 1/4 inch of steel on it left, but it was hot, so it made it weak. But when I was cutting that bolt and it got almost cut in two, that thing shot up out of there like a rocket. Boom. If I'd have had my head bent over it, cutting it, it would have went slam through your head. It would have killed you right on the spot. But it shot up in the air. I bet the thing shot up in the air 15 foot or more. I mean, it just rocked the whole truck when it broke. And it had that much energy behind it. So if you're cutting any bolts like that and you got, where they've got tension on them for a good amount of time, especially if they got some size to them, or even if they ain't got size to it, That thing can pop out of there like a missile, and it's just like a bullet. It's just like getting shot. So that big as that boat was, be getting shot with a 50 caliber rifle in the head with it. There would have been no, it'd have been a closed casket. That stuff could have busted you wide open. But I, I, I ended up taking a backhoe back then, and I took the bucket off of the backhoe and the back bucket, and I would hold it over the top of the boat because it kind of made me nervous after it done that. It would hold me over. I would hold that back bucket on the top of that boat and cut it. And when it broke, it would shake the machine. I mean, just rock the whole machine when it broke, went through there. But if you're cutting any old boats with tension on them like that, energy, you better not have your head or any part of your body anywhere right there where you could get in harm's way, because they will get you. And luckily, my daddy, he used to come over here a lot and, hang around and watch me do stuff and help me a little bit, when he could, whatever he could. And I'm glad he wasn't over here, because he's the type that, he'd been right there with his hand over it or his arm or his head or something when it came loose. So I'm glad there wasn't nobody else around it but me. So we're going to leave the top welded up there. We're just going to slide this thing on down wherever it was I needed it to be, which I'd say about there. Probably good. Give me a little gap. I don't want too much of a gap, but and I'll come back and trim that little bit. Come back and trim that little bit off where I want it. So that's looking like what we want right here. We're going to tack weld it up there. Get a measurement on the back, make sure I'm pretty straight. Off a little bit. It could be in my cut in there. Yeah, could be in my cut. But we slid this thing forward a little bit just to tighten up that gap. So we're going to call that good right there where it's at. We're going to go ahead and weld it up. Dang wind blowing it, blow you argon gas out from up under you, shielding gas out like that when that wind's blowing hard. Keep that nozzle close. You can get in the front up there where you can see in here. what I want to do is I got to have me another piece cut on a tapered angle. And I got a scrap piece of steel here. So the first thing you got to do, you got to make you a square point to square off of. And the back is square. I need it to be 26 1/4 on one end, on the front end. And I need it to be 28. What do I need it to be here? 28 5/8 and 26 1/4 by 11 3/4. So I got to see if I can square me up something here. So I need to be at least 11 3/4. I'll come up here and I'll make me a mark where I know my steel is at least 11 3/4, which is right here. I want to go to the very front. That way we've got as much to work with as we can. I know it's 11 3/4 way over here, but I want to bring it all the way over as far on my plate as I can where it's 11 3/4. You got to have that tape pretty straight, so we're going to call it right here. This is going to be 11 3/4 right there. That's as high as I can go with my plate. And then what we're going to do, we're going to come here and we're going to square us up an edge with the end of it. And I'm going to go with the inside of my square. I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to square it up. So we'll make us a square. Then we'll come back and find the center. So the furthest point I needed was 29 or 28. 28 5/8. So what I want to do here is I want to go 28 5/8 on my back side. And then I square that one up. Then what I want to do is find the dead center of 28 5/8 will be 14 5/16. I'm thinking is the center. Let's double check it. We'll call it 14 5/16. We'll come over here. We're just a little off, so it's close. We'll go with that. It ain't off enough. Cause a problem. We're gonna call this the center line. And I'm gonna go with the inside of my square because I found out the other day I got a little bow in this outside edge from where we've been cutting. I'll make me a little mark to start with. We've been using it for a straight edge here and there, and this edge of that cutting wheel's got into it just a hair. We're gonna come here and we're gonna go with the inside edge. We're gonna make us a center point up here. And because I needed 26 1/4, that would be 13 1/8. I need to go 13 1/8 each way. And you need to be down right where your 11 3/4 mark's at. So you can't go 13 1/8 way down here. You got to be right at the 11 3/4 mark. So we're going to come back. We're going to make us another mark here. Was it 11 3/4 or 11 1/4? It was 11 3/4. That's my mark right there. So actually, it'll still work because I'm shorter on the front than I am on the edge. Yep, 11 3/4. 11 3/4. So always double check, make your mark. See, that's where my mark needs to be at up here. Take your finger and pop this line for me. Pop it. All right, so that's the top of my 11 3/4. So what I want to be up here is I want to be 13 1/8 right on my mark. 11 3/4 mark. Same way, 13 1/8. And what I want to do, I want to go from 28 5/8 to 26 1/4. And that's going to give me my taper I need here, and then cut it off, and then that'll be my last plate for the bottom. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get us a line from 28 5/8 back to 26 1/4. You want to be careful when you're making them marks to leave you enough of room so you actually, when you cut it, your measurement will still be the same. If you don't make your marks right, if you cut an 1/8 inch off of one side and an 1/8 inch off another side, when you get it done, your piece is going to be a 1/4 inch short. So this is going to be my actual piece right here. None of this don't matter. This is what I'm after. We'll go ahead and get us a good mark here. That chalk line will go away. It says check twice, cut once. We're going to cut that up and we're going to move on. Let's see if it'll fit. We're going to have to cut these out of the way too, just like we did the other one. So we've got pretty much the thing welded there where it can't move. All right, moment of truth. Let's see. You know how to read a tape measure. Let's go ahead and clean the bottom of it right here. Got some rust on it over here. Let's go ahead and clean that mess off before I put it up in there. Fit like a glove. That's what we want. That's what we want. What we don't want though is we don't want the weld on it right now because our gas has run out for our welder over there, and even though we can still tack it a little bit, it's real nasty looking. So we got to get the bottle back filled up, then we'll be able to come back and tack it together, and we'll cut it loose from the table. We're gonna have to lift this thing up in the air a little bit higher because I got some other stuff I got to do, and then I need to take this rebar here and tack it back down. You see how my stuff moves? I want to tack it back down to the actual metal here. We'll cut it loose here and we'll tack it back down to there. Yeah, I'll just bend that down, tack it there. Yeah, we'll tack it all back up where it needs to be, and then we'll move on to the next part of it. But for now, it looks like that's going to be it this morning. We got some other stuff we got to go do. We'll see you next time.